The Madlanga Commission is digging into the Public Investment Corporation right now. And the stuff coming out hits ordinary people where it hurts most. This is the body looking at how billions meant for government workers' pensions got thrown around like loose change. For the nurse in Soweto waiting on her retirement payout, or the teacher in Polokwane hoping her pension will still buy groceries in 10 years. The evidence matters more than any political speech. Testimony this week showed how PIK money flowed into dodgy property deals and connected companies, with little return for the fund. One witness laid out how large sums were approved with weak checks, leaving the corporation exposed. These are not abstract numbers on a spreadsheet. The PIK holds the savings of millions of public servants. When those investments sour or get siphoned, the shortfall eventually lands on the state or on the contributors themselves through lower benefits or higher contributions. Street-level effects are already visible. Municipalities that rely on steady PIK funding for infrastructure projects have seen delays. That means broken roads stay broken longer, and water projects stall. A taxi owner in Johannesburg told me last month his routes are getting worse because the city cannot fix potholes on time. The money that should have gone into those fixes was supposed to come partly from PIC-backed bonds. When the Commission reveals weak oversight, it explains why service delivery keeps sliding. Pensioners feel it directly. Many government workers retire on modest lump sums if the underlying fund has taken losses from bad decisions. Future payouts get squeezed. Already some retirees report waiting longer for their money or receiving less than they budgeted for. The Commission has heard how certain transactions bypass normal risk checks. That is not just poor management. It is money that belonged to people who spent decades paying into the system. The inquiry has also touched on political connections around some deals. Witnesses described pressure to approve investments that favored certain individuals. This pattern is familiar to South Africans who have watched other state entities get hollowed out. What makes the PIK different is the scale of the money involved and how directly it touches working families rather than just high-level tenders. Fairness requires noting that not every PIK investment failed. Some infrastructure bets have delivered returns. The Commission's job is to separate the bad calls from outright abuse. So far, the evidence points to a mix of negligence and possible corruption. Not a clean sweep. Still, the fact that so much scrutiny is needed shows the governance at the fund was not tight enough. For the person on the ground, the bigger question is whether anything changes after the Commission finishes. Past inquiries have produced thick reports that gathered dust if the Madlanga findings lead to real prosecutions and tighter rules on how PIK money is moved. Then the nurse and the teacher might eventually see the difference in their statements. If it stays at recommendations only, the cycle repeats and another generation of public servants carries the loss. The urgency comes from timing. Many public servants are approaching retirement age. They cannot wait for another 5-year process before the fund is stabilized. Every month that weak controls remain in place is another month of exposure. The Commission is doing the necessary work of putting names and figures on record. What happens next depends on whether those in charge treat the evidence as a serious warning or just another chapter in the long book of state financial problems.